Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 15 of the Christmas Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing a brand new Cricut paper craft with you every day for 20 days. Today's project is for all of you who live somewhere where Christmas might not be snow and icicles and coldness, but instead we're thinking hot, lovely days at the beach. Or if you are somewhere where Christmas is that bit colder, maybe Santa's just having a very well-deserved break after delivering all of the presents on Christmas Eve. Here he is, having a sunbathe on the beach. He's got his feet in the water, a lovely little beach ball to play with later, and he's, being nice and safe with his sunscreen, and he's got his sunglasses and his flip-flops, and he's just having a lovely, relaxing time. This is a fun layered design to make, and it works really nicely with the tired Santa design from a few days earlier in the countdown. They'd make a great pair, showing Santa as soon as he gets back after delivering all those presents, and a few days later on his very well-deserved vacation. Let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Christmas Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access bundle at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Christmas Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. Or purchase just the design from this video at craftwithsarah.com/products. To find the designs from this countdown, click into the Occasions filter and choose Christmas. The designs will appear here each day once the free versions have expired. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into your cutting machine software. For instructions on how to use the cut files, visit craftwithsarah.com/help and choose Cricut, Silhouette, or Scan and Cut. Within there are dedicated help guides on topics such as how to upload SVGs, how to modify them to make custom projects, framing tips, and how to cut cardstock with your type of machine. If you have any questions, email hello@craftwithsarah.com. Now, on with today's project. Here's what the Santa on the Beach design loads into Cricut Design Space at. You can close out the window on the left by clicking the arrow about halfway down the page. You can click the chevron next to the name on the right-hand side to see all the pieces that make up this design. The design loads in at a great size to cut, which is 7 by 7 inches, but you can make it larger or smaller if you prefer. To do that, first make sure the padlock icon between the width and the height box is closed. If yours is open, then click it to close it. You can then change either the width or the height, and the other measurement will change proportion so everything still looks lovely. There's nothing else you need to do to this, it just loads in exactly ready to cut. I'll put mine back to the original size and then go to Make over on the top right of the screen. This separates out all the different colours for you. You can change the paper size in the drop downs on the left, and then you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. Just make sure if you're moving stuff about that none of the pieces overlap, otherwise they won't cut out properly. You'll need to change the paper size for every single colour. When you're happy with how everything's looking in Design Space, press Continue to connect to your Cricut and follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut from cardstock. Here are all of the layers of my Santa design cut out. I've laid them all on top of each other following the assembly guide that's included in your download folder to check that I'm happy with all the colours and that I haven't missed any of the pieces out. We'll be putting this together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is Barely Art Glue, but I also like Kalal. The reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot & Dab, but any brand will do. These ones are 2mm thick and 5 by 5mm in size. That means they're nice and small, so I'll be able to get them into the little pieces in here. If yours are bigger, you may need to cut them smaller with a pair of scissors. As with all my layered designs, we're going to start at the bottom and work upwards. I'm going to move some of these pieces apart and try and keep them kind of in order as much as I can. Then I'm left with the very two bottom bits, which are the two sandy colours. The lighter one on top will be glued on. I thought it was completely circular, so I just put it on any old way, but actually there's the tiniest bit that comes out, so it does need to line up there. That means I've now got it a little bit messy with my glue here, but I don't think it'll notice when it's dried. I've rubbed that glue in and now you can't see it, so that looks just fine. So watch out for just the smallest bit here. In fact, I think what I'll do before you get this file is I'm going to remove that tiny little bump here so it is perfectly circle. Then you won't have to worry about lining it up in exactly the right place. So I'm going to make that improvement by the time you get the design. Sometimes it doesn't matter how many people look at something during its design process. You don't spot things until it actually goes together. Next up is this white bit, which will go on with foam squares. I'll turn that upside down and bring in the foam. Because my foam squares are quite small, they're going to fit nicely in the border around the edge. If yours are bigger, cut them smaller with scissors. Make sure none of the foam goes outside over any of the edges, otherwise you'll be able to see it, which we don't want. I'm adding a new foam square about every inch into the outside, and once I've done that, I'll then add some pieces into the middle sections too. That's because if I only put my foam squares around the edge and none in the middle, there's nothing to hold this upright and it will probably sag downwards and you'll lose that 3D effect in the middle sections. We want it all to be nice and level and consistent. I've got a little fly buzzing around. You'll probably see it coming in and out of the shot. That's all my foam squares added, so now I can peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. My foam squares are all nice and sticky, so I'll bring this in and line it up. And you need to line it up so that the Christmas tree is on the left, and you just get that little triangle in here that's going to go into the gap in it there. It's probably the easiest way to know if you've got it the right way up. When you're happy with the positioning, gently drop it down and have a look. It hasn't stuck yet, it's just placed on top, so if you weren't happy you could move it. I haven't quite got it right, so I'm going to give it another go. That's better. Push down to stick when you're happy. Next up is the light blue, the first blue of the water, and this one is glued on. Then we've got the frame on top, also to glue. Next up, I'm going to build the beach ball, but you could do the Santa next. It doesn't really matter which way around you do the next few things. We've got the yellow at the bottom. This one will be stuck on with foam squares. Then it's the red piece next. We're sort of going in size order, so the next biggest one is the red. The next pieces of the beach ball are all glued. It doesn't matter where you put the top bit, the circle at the top of the beach ball can face whichever way around you want it to go. Blue next. And then finally the white. I've got a little bit of my top of one of my foam squares in there. Remove that. We've also got the star to go at the top of the Christmas tree, the starfish, that's done with foam squares. Next up is this dark blue bit, which is the pattern on the towel, and this is glued on. Next, let's start building Santa, starting with this layer, which will be done with foam squares. Try and get some of your foam into his feet so it gets a good rise on that bit of card. You may need to cut your foam smaller with scissors. What's nice is you've now got the outline, so you sort of know exactly where he goes. I moved my sunglasses a little bit. The glue is now dry. Oops. Oh well. I don't think it'll notice very much. There's that one. Then next up is this piece for his shorts, which are done with glue. Next up is his tummy. I'll do this with some foam squares. Next up is this piece for his head. We're going to turn it round, add some glue around the eye cutouts, and then stick on the dark rectangle over there, and then foam square this on. And while I'm here, let's add one little foam square to the end of his hat for the bubble. There we are. Then next up is this piece, and this is glued. Then we've got his beard, but before this is glued on, turn it over and add a little bit of glue around his smile and stick on the darker oval to cover that up. And then glue it to the design. Next up is his nose to glue on top. Thought it would be easier to add the glue directly on there rather than the back of this piece, as it is quite small. And then there's another bit to go on top his hat to make up the fluff. This is just glued on. I know it seems a bit odd gluing on top of another white piece, but we've already got so much depth coming out from the red of the hat, I didn't want to add any more, but I thought it just needed a little bit to show the lines here. If I pick this up, you can see, even though there's not a lot of depth, it still shows clearly now where the beard ends and the hat begins. And now we've just got all the little pieces to go. Okay, so I'll start with the sunglasses. I've got some tiny foam squares that I cut in half earlier for another project. So I'll add them, but you can glue this if that would be easier. It is kind of tricky when you start working with foam squares this small. There's his sunglasses. And then one of the flip-flops I'm going to add with some foam squares. If I can pick it up. Now I'm throwing my foam squares everywhere. There we go. And glue the white piece on top. The V faces upwards away from you. And then we've got the one on there. I think I might just glue that one on so that it stays the same height as this one. Trying to find this little bit on my white table surface was a little interesting. There's that. And now just the sunscreen bottle on the other side. Start with foam squares. That's the bottom bottle-shaped piece. There. And then glue the bit with the sun picture on top. And that's everything complete. My lovely Santa having a well-deserved break on the beach after doing all of the deliveries on Christmas Eve. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make this layered cardstock design of Santa having a very, very well-deserved vacation at the beach. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 16 of the Christmas Craft Countdown. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!